Good morning and welcome to today's edition of Empowerment Hour. You are very, very welcome today to join me, your host, and my own guest, once again, Denise Oliver. How are you all doing? I've had a week's holiday. Yes, there was still a radio show because I can record it in advance using the Zoom platform, which is what I'm doing today. It's great to hear, as I've come back from holiday, that Calon FM, the studios are now open. The presenters are slowly but surely making their way back there to do their shows. And I'm just holding back. I'm going to let other people just work it out. And then once they've ironed it all out and there's no creases, then I'll consider going back. For now, for the moment, I'm actually very happy doing it the way I'm doing it, doing these recordings, and the very lovely Amy, our station manager, creating them as radio shows for you to listen to. So yes, how are you all? So I've just got back from a lovely, lovely holiday in St Ives down in the southwest of England in Cornwall. If you've never been, it's one of I've been lots of places around the world, but oh my goodness, St Ives just has an energy that works for me. I just love going there and meandering through the cobbled streets, and there's different beaches and the shops, the people. I love them. I just love, love, love it down there. We were so lucky, and I am so grateful that the weather, wow, it was glorious. I have come back with a tan, which I don't always expect to do when I'm in the UK, but oh my goodness, the weather was just so warm, sunny. We had a couple of days where there was sea fog, and we did one day on the beach. We have a beach tent, so we were sat in that. And we couldn't see very far, and but after that it was glorious again, and I'm just so grateful. Then we didn't come straight home. We nipped to Cardiff and visited our middle son who works down there. He works in animation in Cardiff. The whole time we were very aware that the COVID restrictions weren't particularly being adhered to. So wherever you are, please do what works for you and be aware of other people as well. We're supposed to be washing our hands more, wearing these masks, socially distancing. And I get that some places it's more difficult than others, but let's just stay safe, shall we? Don't be a numpty and, think it doesn't matter. It does. It really, really does matter. We're not only going into autumn and winter with COVID hanging over us, but all the other colds and flus that are going to come along as well. So stay safe, stay with me. I'm going to be coming back after our first song. And today I'm still focusing on mental health because I'm working through September 10th through to October 10th. So September 10th was Suicide Prevention Awareness, and October 10th is World Mental Health Awareness Day. And in between those dates, I'm bringing you all sorts of information around different mental health issues. So today is all about depression, and it's not all doom and gloom, I can assure you. I'll be bringing you a different way of looking at depression, the way we look at it in Access Consciousness. And as someone who has been there, I just know I could talk about this all day, let alone just in this hour that is Empowerment Hour. So stay with me. I really look forward to having your company, and I'll be back shortly. This is Empowerment Hour. I'm Denise Oliver, your host and my own guest again today. And today's topic is depression. It's a word we often hear, and what is it exactly? Well, that's a tricky one to define, because I doubt there isn't anyone I've ever come across that at some point or other has experienced some sort of a low mood, some sort of a sadness, or, sometimes called the blues. We often refer to the baby blues when a woman is feeling a bit low after giving birth. all to do with hormones. It's a physical thing that impacts a mental thing. There's a whole spectrum of possible reasons why we feel depressed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about me. I consider now that I had a very low grade depression for many, many years. I often had anxiety alongside that as well. And yet somehow I felt that I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I had to work it out. I had to just get on with life. It got steadily worse. It really did. And while I knew deep down, I just knew deep down that there was some way that I was going to come out of it. I didn't need to visit a doctor. That said, it was still quite debilitating. I knew I wasn't happy. I knew that I wasn't finding myself feeling very fulfilled with anything in life. And I just kept berating myself and going, you should be happier. You should be happier. Look at what you've got. You know, you've got a wonderful place to live, 3 kids who are amazing. What's your problem? And I spent a lot of time talking in a very negative way to myself. What I did do was I started to read a lot about ways that I could help myself to bring myself and lift my mood. Did I get other things that happened? You know, yeah, all sorts of health issues were apparent as well. All sorts of things happened. Frozen shoulder, irritable bowel. I got the Lyme's disease and just sent my mood lower and lower. One of the things I did do was I went to see a homeopath, and I saw her on and off for 9 months. And in that time, she would talk to me about things that I could do that instead of being depressed, I could express how I felt, what was happening for me. And I did try things like journaling and stuff like that. One of the things that I adore doing more than anything that really does lift my mood even today is a bit of gardening. Now, people say this and they talk about gardening, and some of you might think, oh God, how is that going to help? It's that, for me, that connection with the soil. There's something about it. You think in winter that most things have gone to sleep, and then in spring, things start to regenerate, things come back to life. And I started to see that as that hope of something different in my life as well. That if I was depressed now, I could regenerate myself and I could live a much happier life. There's lots and lots of sort of definitions about depression, and I never particularly wanted to label myself. I saw friends who tried things like Prozac, and all I could see was them numbing themselves to what was going on in their world, in their relationships, with their partners, with their families, with their children, with themselves. They just weren't happy, but they didn't know what to do about it. In terms of what might happen with symptoms, for instance, it could be that you just know that you're not enjoying your life, that there's something that isn't connecting, that you're unusually tired, lacking in energy, that perhaps there's a physical reason why mentally you're depressed as well. And it can take doctors a long time to find out what that is. And not everything can be explained medically. One of several things, and this happened to me, was that I lost confidence in me, and I had very low self-esteem of myself and just berated myself all the time. The voice in my head, I call nagbag, just didn't stop. Now I hardly hear it, but it's still there. You may have difficulty in concentrating, making decisions, feel very bleak and pessimistic, have difficulty sleeping, or you sleep too much. And it goes on and on and on. And you might lose interest in the food you eat, your food choices. You don't care, you don't look after yourself. And then that can deteriorate into really not caring about you and not looking after your physical body or your mental health either. You don't have all of the symptoms usually all of the time. You can go in and out of symptoms, and you find that some things uplift you and other things create that, a bit like the weather, that depression, that heaviness, that just not being able to push through something. So we're going to take another break, and then we'll come back and we'll look further into this. And as I say, I'm actually going to talk from an access consciousness point of view, which is what really brought me out of where I was, the funk I was in, to the point that I rarely get down. And if I do, I have tools now that lift me really, really quickly. So thank you for being with me so far. Please stay tuned. Hi there, welcome back. It is good to be doing a radio show after my holiday. I've enjoyed this summer in a way that I didn't expect to when we were first going into the lockdown period. It reconnected me with my garden, things like that. And we've had some glorious, glorious days. I don't know about you, but I've spent an awful lot less money because I haven't been going out, I haven't been buying as much, and I've been looking after myself as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about me and my health as I go along with this, because there's certain aspects of what I'm talking about today, which is about depression, that actually I recognised something was changing in me recently and knew I needed to go and have it investigated. So let's just go, carry on from what I was saying before. People with depression in that unhappiness, sadness type of way can have quite a negative view of themselves, particularly. They can have a negative view of the world and where the future is going to be taking them. And they often feel quite hopeless and helpless. And this was me. When I say these words, I'm talking about it from my point of view. You may have this as well. You may know people who are like this. They are doom and gloom. We're doomed. Who was the guy? I can't remember. There was a character in Dad's Army who was Scottish, and we were always doomed. That's, that particular way of thinking that everything is a negative and you can't see beyond it can be a sign of someone with depression. People with depression, they may not say a lot of this out loud, but I know this is what I was thinking. I was thinking I was hopeless, that nobody liked me, I wasn't likable, and I was always shocked when somebody told me they did, that that I would fail, that I would let people down, that I was alone, no one got me. Now, I can spend time on my own now because I need to recharge my batteries and I don't feel alone at all. I recognise what I require. And that's different to feeling like you can't open up and express yourself to someone. And that whole negativity thing, I couldn't discuss things that were in the news because it just got me down so much. And it was like, how can everyone else just discuss this and then like carry on as normal? And I just got to that point where I stopped watching the news and things like that. I also started to listen to mindfulness meditations. And I recall one that I listened to on a regular basis by a chap called Jon Kabat-Zinn, who brought a lot of the mindfulness information that we have in the Western world. He was the guy that really started it off big time. People were doing it already. And Jon Kabat-Zinn was the person who started to write the books and do a lot of research. He at one point was based at Bangor University, I'm sure. And one of the things I recall him saying on a recording that I used to listen to all of the time was, if you are breathing, there is more right with you than is wrong with you. And I still say that to this day. wow, I'm breathing. There's more right with me than is wrong with me. And there was something about him and getting my body to relax and to switch off the jitters that were happening in my body that I'm convinced led me into where I am today with Access Consciousness. In terms of who's more prone to develop depression, women. Women apparently way more prone to have a depressive state than men. And I consider that's to do with our hormones. And so I've said I've recently sought some naturopathic help because I felt that my mood was lowering. And it's like, I get that this is a physical thing impacting my mental health, and I couldn't figure this out on my own. So I've chosen to go to a naturopathic health clinic and to have testing done to find that I'm very low in vitamin D, very low in vitamin B12, that my thyroid hormones are very, very low. All of that will affect your mood. Women know what it's like to have this cyclical hormone thing happen month in, month out. Guys less so, but it does occur. Guys are affected by the moon cycles, for instance. So if you know someone who's up one week and down the next, if they start to track what happens to them round a full moon, round a new moon, you might be onto something with that. And then you can just plan your life a little more around that. Not to get obsessive with it, but just to know there are times when things like the moon, the weather, affect you. It's honestly, some things are so simple and we want to make them so complex and complicated, because if we're not doing that, somehow we're not doing it right. We're going to take a break because there's so much I could say here, and I've just got to be so mindful of the time. And I am going to come and talk about Access Consciousness in our next session. But one of the things that I was given when someone who met me gave me this question, in Access we ask questions all the time, and I would make myself so wrong for so many things. And she said to me, I want you to start asking this question. So I'm going to give it to you too. And if you get that you go into despair about anything, what's right about this I'm not getting? And you just keep asking it with everything. What's right about me I'm not getting? Instead of, oh my God, I'm always wrong. Oh my God, I'm going to fail. Oh my God, I'm going to let people down. Okay, stop. Take a breath. What's right about this I'm not getting? So we're going to. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. I'm Denise Oliver, your host and my own guest once again for these programmes in September at least. I'm talking to you about depression and what it is, what it isn't. And it's like one of the biggest things that there is in the world. Worldwide, people experience depression in some way, shape or form at some point in their lives. All sorts of things can trigger that. You can be unhappy in your job, you're not happy with your financial status, you're not happy with your relationship, you're just not happy. And in Access Consciousness, we have so many tools and techniques that can shift this in a way that I can't believe it actually works. Seriously, I was someone who had such a low mood, and I knew I was seeking something and I didn't know what it was. And I'd go for treatments, I'd feel great for a few minutes, maybe hours afterwards, and then it would close in on me again. And I just couldn't work out how to shake this off until I found Access Consciousness. So my first experience with Access and the lifting of my mood and finding how calm I could become was getting my bars run. Now, I've talked about this before. So anyone who's listening for the first time, thank you. Welcome to the show. And Access bars, very briefly, are points on our heads that when they are touched, release a whole load of limiting thoughts, feelings, emotions, beliefs, values that we're holding on to just in case we might need them. So if you've got a wardrobe stuffed full of clothes, for instance, that you're holding on to things just in case, if you've got a toolbox full of rusty old nails that you're holding on to just in case, we do the same with our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our beliefs. We hold on to them. When you get your bars run, when your head is very gently touched, you can just relax and breathe and just allow anything that in that moment you know isn't working for you. You can just let go of it. It's not a thought process. Somehow your thoughts disappear. It's an energetic way of lifting something off you, taking the weight off your shoulders. When your brain relaxes, and it's been shown by neuroscientists that what happens is our brains are so switched on so much of the time that we exhaust our physical body with it. Our brains are red hot and frazzled so much of the time because we're always on the go, we're always doing, we're always stressing. We don't stop and breathe and just be. We've been born human beings, we become human doings and human stressings. And I would say that I thought of myself as a human failing. This was something, I was in a victim mode. I thought I was wrong all the time, all of that. And if you identify with this, there are quite a few people in the North Wales, Chester area that run bars, and it can still be done through the COVID time. We just have to be very mindful of hand washing and wearing a face mask. Where was I going with that? So these 32 points on the head, neuroscience, when the bars were run and it was all computerized and followed, showed how the brain calmed down really quickly. It went from being red hot and frazzled to be calm. And the colors that are used on the imagery is red for being overworked, overstimulated, and blue for like the calmness of water. And it's fascinating to see that and how that happens. And that calm brain affects the rest of our bodies. It's incredible how this works. Some people need several sessions. Other people, within one session, they notice something's very, very different about themselves. We have hundreds and hundreds of other tools as well. I'm going to keep this section quite short. I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to come back and I'm just going to bring you an indication of other stuff that we talk about in Access Consciousness, and in particular, a branch of Access Consciousness called Pragmatic Psychology. And I'm just going to bring you some of the ways that we look at things like depression and unhappiness, and you can choose to recognize that this would work for you or not. Everything is a choice. And if I said to you that being unhappy is a choice, you might not like that. But hi there, welcome back to Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM with myself, Denise Oliver, and I'm discussing depression and unhappiness with you today. The fact that I was that person and I'm really not like that anymore. I find life incredibly fulfilling and joyful. I'm going to use the word joyful. Every day there's joy to be found in every single day. So I'm now talking about depression and unhappiness from an Access Consciousness point of view. There is the medical model that says all sorts of things. And then there's this. And in Access, we talk about depression as being you, keeping you, limiting you from the greatness that you truly be. For some reason that you may not cognitively, with thought, be able to work out, you are limiting you to fit into some sort of box in this reality, when actually you are joyful, which isn't something that we talk about much. Everything has to be depressing and downright miserable. when actually, what if you could be joyful? What if you could find some joy in every single day? And there's a quote I want to give you from an Access Consciousness book called Pragmatic Psychology, written by a wonderful, wonderful woman who I've met several times. She's called Susanna Mittermeier. She's based in Vienna. She's an amazing woman. She's a clinical psychologist, so she's a medical psychologist. And now, more than ever, she uses the tools of Access Consciousness because she gets results faster. So this is a quote that she's put in her book, and I've already mentioned Jon Kabat-Zinn and his mindfulness techniques, and a phrase that he used was, if you are breathing, there is more right with you than is wrong with you. And Susanna says, as long as you are breathing, you can start all over again. Take a deep breath. Oh gosh, yes, I can start again. Whatever that looks like for you. And if that sounds overwhelming, start really simply. You can choose to drink something different. You can choose to eat something different. You can choose to wear something different. You can choose to start again. You can choose, instead of considering as you look through the window, as I'm looking at now, that my garden needs weeding, actually, no, I can choose to look at the abundance that's out there. I can look at the blue sky, the sunshine, know that the seasons are changing because the colour on the trees is changing, and actually really appreciate that. And just stop and breathe and take it all in. One of the things that is talked about in Access is how depression is a choice. And I hated hearing that when I first came to Access. How can it be a choice? Why would I choose this? And then I came to recognise that actually it was. And if I could choose depression and unhappiness, so if I could choose depression and unhappiness, I could choose the opposite. Say what? And I used the question I mentioned earlier, what's right about this I'm not getting? What's right about me I'm not getting? And I think I used that a million times a day for at least 18 months when I first came to Access, because I'd seen everything as through this, closed curtains with just a chink of light coming through. And over the time that I did a lot of courses with Access, I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't just do one thing, I did lots of things. I just got how it could change my world. And it has, totally. And that's a choice. I chose to change. And if I can choose to change, so can you. Susanna in her book talks about how depression is a passive way of existing. It's not an active choice. And it's like you've surrendered to life's limitations rather than asking what else is possible. What are the possibilities here that I could choose, that I could step into, that only I know are going to work for me? Not what people are telling you, not what people say you should or shouldn't do. No, actually, what is required here? Is it a trip to the doctors for medication? Is that going to help you short term? I'm not saying you shouldn't ever do anything like that. Of course, I have to. You know, when I've had my physical ailments and I can't quite get to it myself, I seek help, I seek information, and then I work with it from there by asking questions. I commune with my body. Okay, body, what would you like today? What's going to work for you? What would you like to wear today? And I know that just from my point of view, I chose to change the colours in my wardrobe so that I have a much more colourful wardrobe than I've ever had before. One of the things I'm going to say now is, and I wish I had way more time to talk about this, is that you may be picking up on the energy of an awful lot of people who are unhappy with their lives. When I started to change me, I started to notice how when I was around some people, how my mood and my energy would drop. Even if these people appeared to be happy, smiley, getting on with their lives people, somehow I recognized that I could sense that actually they weren't as happy as they were making themselves out to be. And it was as though I was trying to heal that in them. Once I started to let go of that, I recognized it. I didn't have to take it on board as mine. Okay, cool. What's right about this I'm not getting? Oh, I'm just aware. I just am aware of what's going on in these people's worlds. It's an energetic thing. Oh, okay, it's not mine. And if it's not mine, I don't have to act as though it is. So I can be me, and I can be happy and fun-loving and joyful. And that doesn't mean I'm disregarding anybody else. It just means I'm not taking it on as mine. Because a lot of the time we can pretend to be happy when actually it's not working for us. And we need to just recognise that we could be picking up on other people's unhappiness. Okay, cool. I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, what other choices do I have available? Everything is a choice. Everything. You're choosing to listen to me. You don't like it. You have the choice to switch me off. I mean, I hope you don't, because there's lots of other shows available here at Calon FM. So we're going to take our last break, and I'll be back briefly after this. Hi there, welcome to the very last section of today's Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. I do hope that you're well, and if there's anything I'm saying here that you want more clarification on, then you can always contact me at deniseoliver@divaempowerment.co.uk. More than happy to follow up on any questions that you have. I have a series of Access Consciousness tools that I've uploaded to YouTube so that you can find them with more ease. And if you want a connection to any of that, then just let me know and I can email it out to you, or you can message me on Facebook through Diva Empowerment there. So this is, as I say, the final section, which I'm going to keep short and sweet because I have a tendency to ramble on. Just want to say just a little thing about choice. If you find choosing an overwhelming thing, then you can ask a question: what's right about this I'm not getting? What else is possible? And there's a little tool we have in Access called 10-second increments. Suddenly, if you get a sense of, oh my goodness, what else am I going to do? 10 seconds. Okay, in this 10 seconds, what can I do? I can breathe. Oh, I can, what question can I ask? What is it that Denise says? Oh, yeah, how does it get any better than this? What else is possible? Okay, that 10 seconds is over. Okay, what can I choose in the next 10 seconds? Am I going to go and make a cup of tea? Am I going to go outside and take a deep breath of air from outside rather than inside? And that 10 seconds is over. Okay, so what else can I choose? What else? What else? What else? What next? So I'm going to leave it there for today. As I say, please be in touch if you want clarification on anything, if you want to know more about getting your bars run, anything like that, anything that brings you to the joy that you truly be, to experiencing happiness, then please be in touch. I'm all about you experience the happiness, being empowered to live the joyful life that is possible to live. Thanks for listening. I'm Denise Oliver, your host and my own guest. This has been Empowerment Hour for today here at Calon FM. Take care, everyone. Stay tuned. There's loads more coming up, and I look forward to being with you again next week. Bye for now. Bye.